Hello, welcome to chord forms you can use number one. So this is going to be a series of lessons on using chord forms. So the idea of a chord form, it's a chord shape or a left hand shape if you're a righty guitar player and your left hand does chords, the fingering of the chords. Like I just did a bunch of chord forms right there, seventh chords. So dominant seventh chord, minor seven chord. So the idea is you can take certain shapes. So I did a dominant seventh chord there. I did a minor seventh chord, a ninth chord, actually another seventh chord. Actually, it's a nine. So the idea is you could take sounds and move them wherever you want. Very handy if you're trying to figure out songs and you hear a certain chord quality and you've been playing with chord forms a little bit, you can try to figure out a part of a tune. Or if you're writing songs, it's very helpful to have a collection of chord forms at your disposal. So if you're getting tired of playing the regular chords that most people play, which is fine, there's chords are chords, but there's certain chords that have a certain sound that could enhance your songwriting. So it's good to have a collection of those types of sort of, I guess, boutique sounds, if you will, if you want to, for lack of a better term. So I put together a short little excerpt today, and this is the first one of a few. I initially was going to do a bunch at once. In fact, I had a score set up with three different chord progressions and a bunch of chords. So I figured today we just keep it really simple, really quick, and get you right into the score. And you can see what I have lined up. All right, so here it is. Really short and sweet. And you can see our title right there. This was put together yesterday, so the 19th. So as I normally do, I explain what the chords are and what's inside the chords. We have our fretboard view here, so you'll see the chords light up. If you've seen my videos before, you know the drill. Let me change this to a whole rest. There we go. So I have the first bar is a 4-bar count in. You'll hear a metronome clicking off, and then we jump right into the score. So let me go through the chords for you. And actually, you know, bet it, I'm going to let it play through. Then I'll explain the chords. How about that? All right. So here it is. You get to hear what this chord progression sounds like. It's going to play through 2 times. And here it is. Okay. So really short and sweet, nothing too crazy. If you want to, you could actually end on the first chord, even though this play through twice and you want to play along, you can actually take the very first chord. Once it plays through 2 times, you can actually end on the B flat major 7 chord again. All right. So you can see they're all seventh chords for the most part, except for these last two. These two have a very interesting relationship. Really nice sound. Again, these have a very sort of jazzy type of sound, sort of idiomatic of that type of style. And those types of chords tend to have a lot of harmonic interest and also melodic interest from the voicings. All right. So speaking of voicings, we have our B flat major 7. Root of the chord is on the A string, excuse me. So playing on the 5th string is what I meant to say. So wherever you move this chord shape, you'll get this chord quality, B flat major 7, all the way up and down the strings, wherever you want to play. Or if you want to capo, say the 3rd fret, you would have your first finger here at, 3rd fret. If you keep it at 3rd fret, the first finger would be here at 4th fret, or the new 1st fret, being that the capo is at 3rd fret. So if you don't want to do that, simply just move the left hand up 3 frets, you get a brand new major 7 chord with a different name. Okay. So B flat, D, F, and A give you the spelling here. That is a nice chord form for a major 7th chord, starting on that A string. On to the next G minor 7. Wherever you play this shape along the low E string, the real fat E string, you'll get the name of your minor 7 chord. 3rd fret is where G is. You can see it's reinforced on the bottom. G, B flat. There's no D in the chord, and then there's an F. With 7th chords, typically you can leave out the 5th of a 7th chord. You don't really need to have that in there. You'll see that towards the end too. So again, a long story long, take the shape that you have here. You can move it up and down the strings. If you want to do a whole run of minor 7 chords, you can. So for our example, we decided to keep them more compact and in one collection of a chord progression. E flat major 7, another major 7th chord, right? So we got 2 major 7th chord forms in this particular installment. First finger on the D string, first fret, E flat. This could also be called D sharp major 7. So it's, for our purposes, we're using E flat as our chord name. So I mentioned barring, I think, a minute ago. You can actually take the ring finger and play across just like it's fingered here, or you can go middle finger, ring finger, pinky if you want to try that fingering too. Or if you're more at home, I tend to flatten the ring finger across. That works for my hand. Fingering's so subjective. You could change the fingering whenever you want. Whatever makes it easier to play, go for it. Okay, as long as it sounds good and it's comfortable to play and you can switch, that's what the fingering would be if you were to go through a couple of trial and errors on fingering. Whatever gives you a smooth result, that would be the way to play it. And it's comfortable. You can move. There's no tension in your hand. Fantastic. Spelling, E flat, G, B flat, D. That gives you the E flat major 7. Move it up and down as per I mentioned on the other strings. That's the chord quality you get if you move the first finger, keeping this shape all along the D string. So wherever you move the shape, you get a major 7. All right. Next to last chord, C905. What that means, there's no fifth in the chord. 5 notes away from the letter C is G in the music alphabet. So there's no G in this chord. Okay. If you wanted to put one in, you could. You'd have it on the 3rd fret here. You know, that would be where the G would be located. Or if you wanted to put it on the bottom, you could and see what that sounds like. This voicing doesn't have it. So we try to keep it real simple, or all the left-hand fingers play the chord. C, E, no G, there's a B flat, and the D is the 9 of the chord. It goes 1 note past the octave. C would be right here. That's note 8, and then 1 up from 8 is 9. So that's where the 9th note is away from the letter C, hence C905. Okay, so that's the terminology behind that. And the last chord, finally. This is the other one where you can change your fingering to if you want. Some people use the thumb right here, then the first finger, the middle, the ring finger. You can try that fingering if you want to. I'm hit and miss with this fingering on occasion. Just depends how much I've been playing before I get to this chord. So a lot of times I'll take this chord as a warm-up chord and go way up to 12th fret, you know, or actually 13th fret, which would be the repeat of this chord. And then move my hand down the neck, and I can play a whole series of this chord quality, an F7 chord with an add 13. That means these 3 notes right here are the heart of the F7 chord. You know, the F, the E flat, and the A. There's no C in this chord, actually. So that keeps the chord easy to play. And the D is the 13 or the 6. That's the other thing, too, with these numbers. And add 13 goes past the octave. So the D note is 13 notes away, if you want to count it that way, away from the F note. But that's the spelling of the chord. So D is your add 13, long story long. Shape again, wherever you move it, you know the drill, you get that chord quality. All right. So there it is. The C9 to the F. In the key of B flat, F is the 5 chord. So I actually took the C9 chord and kind of made it a 5 of a 5 chord right here. So this is another dominant 7th chord. So I'm taking this as if this was my 1 chord. Again, some terminology thrown in. The sound is really nice. So I just kind of took a chord from another key and brought it in here, also known as a chord substitution. Fancy stuff, but you can hear the sound. That's the whole thing. It's all about the sound. Terminology and the theory behind it are another matter, but it's the sound you get. You know, and you can mix and match these chords. You can play these chords anywhere you want. You can take this first chord, make it a different type of major 7 on a different letter, and play with that, you know, or rearrange the order. There's lots of options with these, and that's the idea of the chord form, is that movable part being mobile on the fretboard. And then the other part of it, once you play this through in the order that's in, you might hear something different, and you insert that into the collection, and then you're onto a whole other plane of experimentation, which is great. That's the thing you're shooting for with these. And that's what I want to offer today, is the chord forms you can use. And that's perfectly great if you're in a sort of rut, if you're in a writing rut and you're having a hard time writing something, if you're writing songs, or if you heard a chord that sounds like any of these in a song somewhere, you get a chance to kind of move the hand shape to try to match the recording a little bit. So there's a double part to this too, not only just for songwriting, but for some ear training. You might hear something in this particular collection, this particular one that matches a tune somewhere you've heard, and you can't figure it out. Like, what is that part of that tune? Something might be in this collection that might give you that. Okay. The other thing too that is interesting with the way the notation laid out these notes. In B flat major, it's showing the first fret, but there's a note here saying it's A sharp. That's not actually correct. So that's the thing that's kind of interesting with these notes. I'm actually going to change that right now. Now we're in the proper voicing here. B flat, F, A, and D. So that actually is correct now. Somehow I didn't save it properly. So if you're looking at this chart, go, hey, wait a minute, what's going on with this note here? This is strange. I'm gonna do the same thing with the B, make it a B flat. Now it's properly voiced. So I don't know why I did that. That's very interesting that I just happened to spot that. If any of you guys are out there into music theory and like chord spellings and things like that, which is really good to know, you probably would have actually commented on the bottom, hey, wait a minute, what's that A sharp doing there? So now it's all set and proper. So it's actually correct in the way the chords are spelled. Okay. So there you go. So those who aren't reading, your tablature is on the bottom, as you can plainly see. So, all right. So I hope you have a good time with this collection. Number 2 is coming. So stay tuned for that. If you like the video, please feel free to like and subscribe. Let me get out of this big screen here. There we go. So one last thing before I go, that F713, that can give me a bit of a hard time. So before I was mentioning the thumb, as long as you knock out the A string with the back side of your thumb and then finger the rest like this. If you want to go to G7, add 13, you can. There's all kinds of really interesting things that you can do with the voicings in this chord collection. So have a great time with it. Like I mentioned again, if you like this video, please feel free to like it and subscribe if you like the channel, and pass on the video to your friends that you think could use this type of chord form collection. So thanks again. See you on the next video. Bye.